The Danum Valley awakens under a thick blanket of mist. Driven by an ancient circadian rhythm, the morning climb begins.
Her baby clings tightly, entirely dependent on her calculated movements.
Neighbors in the canopy also stir as the light gently shifts.
Every single motion up here is deliberate, patient, and incredibly precise.
She must descend slightly to navigate the broken canopy gaps today. This lush biome contrasts starkly with a barren Namibian scrubland. 100 feet up, a single dead branch means sudden death. She uses her immense body weight to bridge the terrifying gaps. Every living creature here navigates this three-dimensional labyrinth with intense focus. The forest architecture is heavily padded with thick, waterlogged epiphytic plants. Unlike dry season survival challenges elsewhere, water here is always abundant. Other canopy dwellers yield the right of way to her immense size. The sheer scale of this ancient arboreal kingdom is truly staggering. Far removed from the arid Etosha salt pans, life flourishes endlessly. 4 incredibly dextrous hands allow her to navigate the treacherous canopy. Agile gibbons watch as the heavier ape meticulously plans her route. There is no territorial marking high up in these fragile branches. Her destination is a rare fruiting fig tree, kilometers away. Navigating the spiky Rattan thickets requires immense patience and spatial awareness. She must constantly protect her vulnerable infant from the harsh environment.
She does not possess the prehistoric armor of ground dwellers.
She relies solely on intellect and caution to survive this maze.
For the infant, this arduous journey is an incredible daily classroom.
The canopy conceals diverse micro-fauna hidden within the dense leaves below.
Below, terrestrial giants navigate the dense, shadowed forest floor today. These pygmy elephants are much smaller than the African bush elephant. She lacks the heavy defense of a Dicerus bicornis down there.
The river below dictates the flow of life across this valley.
As morning advances, her energy peaks for the hardest climbing phase.
The infant practices foraging, though still entirely reliant on her milk. Every meter gained in elevation costs a massive amount of calories. Her specialized anatomy is built perfectly for this vertical endurance marathon. When the architecture allows, bipedal walking provides a brief, welcome rest. Yet they must remain vigilant against stealthy climbing feline apex predators. A subtle shift in the shadows immediately triggers her sharp instincts. The infant is entirely defenseless without her massive, muscular, protective embrace. Discretion is always the better part of survival in the canopy. The ghost cat vanishes, deciding the massive ape is too risky.
By mid-morning, the grueling commute finally yields a massive botanical reward.
She eagerly replenishes the immense calories burned during the morning climb.
The infant explores the sweet textures, mimicking her mother's vital behavior.
This oasis attracts everyone, demanding a cautious tolerance of noisy neighbors. Unknowingly, she acts as the most crucial gardener of this rainforest. As noon approaches, the equatorial humidity becomes a thick, suffocating blanket.
Gorged on fruit, she now seeks refuge from the punishing heat.
Their thick coats trap the oppressive heat, making movement incredibly difficult. It is time for the mandatory midday rest to conserve energy. Protected by the shadows, they surrender to the heavy equatorial sleep. Hydration is found hidden within the architecture of the ancient trees. She uses her coarse hair as a highly effective, natural sponge. There is no complex waterhole hierarchy here, just quiet, solitary hydration. Nocturnal neighbors sleep soundly nearby, completely ignoring the thirsty ape.
The baby takes advantage of the moisture, learning vital survival techniques. She finds a secure wedge between ancient trunks to finally rest. Stability is paramount when sleeping 100 feet in the air. The morning's grueling athletic exertion demands immediate, deep physical recovery. She blends perfectly into the shadowed architecture of the dipterocarp giants. Safely anchored, the heavy equatorial midday rest finally begins. By noon, the thick humidity forces the entire canopy into stillness. Even agile apex predators rest when the equatorial sun peaks fiercely. The oppressive temperature is a silent, invisible weight on the infant. High intelligence allows her to manipulate the environment for slight comfort. Her metabolism slows down dramatically to endure the intense midday swelter. As the sun shifts, she must constantly reposition to avoid overheating. Even while exhausted, essential maternal grooming duties can never be neglected. This careful physical contact strengthens their immense, lifelong emotional bond. Everyone in the canopy shares this silent, breathless struggle for comfort. Time seemingly stops during these punishing, suffocating equatorial afternoon hours. Survival here requires immense endurance, much like a desert gemsbok. Sleeping on hard wood requires constant, micro-adjustments for sheer comfort. The infant dreams, unaware of the immense journey still ahead today. The crushing lethargy slowly begins to lift as the sun peaks. Muscle stiffness must be carefully worked out before attempting another climb. As the extreme heat finally breaks, the canopy slowly comes alive. Her reach is astonishing, spanning over 2 meters across the void. The infant awakens instantly, instinctively tightening its life-saving grip. From terrestrial grazers below to arboreal apes above, activity slowly resumes. The midday lethargy is broken. The arduous commute must continue.
Before departing, a final grooming session reinforces their vital social connection.
Her massive strength is beautifully contrasted by incredibly delicate, precise movements. This extended childhood is the longest of any mammal on Earth. Below them, the forest floor begins its own afternoon shift. In this towering, dangerous world, they only have each other. With the heat breaking, she resumes her search for the next meal. The infant instinctively locks into the crucial riding position for travel.
Every single grip must be tested before committing her massive weight.
She launches back into the dizzying labyrinth of the upper canopy.
The final push of the day requires navigating treacherous, unfamiliar routes.
When sweet fruits are scarce, she must rely on fibrous alternatives.
The inner cambium layer of bark provides essential, tough emergency calories.
It takes immense jaw strength to process this difficult, woody meal.
Different species peacefully share the canopy by exploiting completely different resources.
Every single day is a masterclass in ultimate rainforest survival.
She begins her descent toward a suitable location for the night. A single misstep here could easily result in a lethal bite. Unlike an oblivious herbivore, her high intelligence recognizes the immediate danger. Slowly backing away is the only logical choice in this scenario. The journey is abruptly rerouted, adding exhausting hours to her day. The journey is abruptly rerouted, adding exhausting hours to her day.
With the heat dissipating, her movements become astonishingly fluid and fast.
The infant experiences the terrifying thrill of arboreal flight every afternoon.
4 incredibly dextrous limbs act as independent, highly specialized grappling hooks.
Even the agile gibbons yield space to her immense, unstoppable mass. Altitude is safety, and she must maintain it before darkness falls.
The atmosphere shifts violently as a sudden monsoon storm rapidly approaches.
The winds act as a fierce warning to all canopy dwellers. The sudden temperature drop makes the clinging infant incredibly vulnerable.
The incoming storm triggers an urgent panic across the entire ecosystem.
She must find a highly secure location before the deluge begins. Seeking stability, she retreats slightly from the dangerous, swaying upper canopy. The lower levels hold their own silent, highly camouflaged lethal threats.
Her senses are perfectly tuned to detect this incredibly stealthy predator. She calculates a safe detour, unwilling to risk her infant's life. Twilight arrives rapidly, signaling the absolute end of the travel day. She must locate a highly specific tree fork to build her nest. To date, it must be strong enough to survive the brutal equatorial monsoon winds. Every living creature instinctively seeks shelter as the sky grows darker. She selects her canvas, a sturdy fork 100 feet high. A structural failure during the night would mean certain, instant death. Above the nervous ground dwellers, the master architect begins her daily work. The infant steps aside, giving the mother room to aggressively build. She uses sheer, brute force to manufacture the heavy structural beams. The complex foundation requires complex geometry, bending living wood into tension. This is not instinct alone. It is a highly learned engineering skill. She compacts the woven structure, creating an incredibly resilient, trampoline-like base. Night predators begin their prowl, making the elevated sanctuary absolutely essential.
The foundation is complete, built entirely from scratch in mere minutes. Next, she must manufacture a soft mattress over the harsh wooden frame.
Comfort is vital for conserving her highly depleted energy reserves overnight. The infant watches intently, absorbing the complex mechanics of survival. The dense foliage provides excellent insulation against the incoming cold rain. She uses her own body weight to mold the perfect sleeping bowl.
With the rain beginning, she races to construct a waterproof roof.
This behavior proves an incredibly high level of cognitive problem solving.
Getting soaked in the canopy winds can lead to fatal hypothermia. Other monkeys simply endure the rain. The orangutan engineers an escape. She pulls the final door closed on the hostile outside world.
The skies finally break, unleashing the full fury of the monsoon.
Inside the fortress, they remain entirely dry and incredibly safe. The carefully angled leaves act as a flawless, natural gutter system.
Down below, the terrestrial inhabitants must simply endure the miserable deluge.
A single minor adjustment ensures total perfection against the harsh elements.
The architectural marvel holds completely firm against the raging monsoon winds.
Unfazed by the chaos outside, the infant sleeps entirely secure.
Exhausted from the arduous journey, she finally allows herself to rest.
While others fight just to survive the night, she has conquered it.
Tomorrow, this incredible, endless arboreal journey will begin all over again.